Good morning, everyone. It's another fantastic Monday morning here at Health Plan Markets. Thank you very much for being on the call. Today is January 10th, 9:02 a.m., and we are here to help those that need us most. And as we always start off the call, our mission here at Health Plan Markets is to improve the lives of our community with affordable health care. And again, thank you very much for being a part of that mission. It's what we do every day in and day out. So thank you for that. And so we'll jump right into training because it looks like training is starting to pick back up again. And we can't help the community unless we know what we're doing. So, like I always say, we have to have one foot in the classroom and the other one in the field at all times because there are updates, there are product knowledge, and we need to be better, faster, stronger, and smarter so we can help our fellow community out there. So with that, I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll show the training calendar. And as a reminder, guys, if you don't have the training calendar on your phone, laptop, iPad, or wherever you have it, please reach out to us so we can get you connected onto the training calendar. Tom Ryan has been kind enough to cultivate our training calendar. So all those great trainings that are popping up every week, they're going to live here. So first things first, this morning at 10 a.m., Cigna is doing their OEP training. So if you need a little bit of guidance on what you should be doing for open enrollment for Medicare, Cigna is doing a training this morning at 10 a.m. Again, at 11 o'clock, Devoted is doing their coffee and chat session. So you can jump on there if you have any questions, concerns, or rude remarks for Devoted Healthcare. No, keep those to yourself, please. And then another training jumping over to tomorrow. We've got Cigna again at 10 o'clock. They're doing another OEP training. So if you can't make it this morning, they're doing another one tomorrow morning. And just a heads up, those of you that are in Florida market, Cigna is 5 stars again. So that means open enrollment has not ended for Cigna. So if you bump into somebody that says, hey, look, I'm really not happy with my plan, they've got Cigna to jump on board. And it's a 5 star. So no SEP needed to get them enrolled for February 1st effective. Okay, so you got to know what you're doing on that. So jump into that training. That's either today at 10 or tomorrow at 10. Also tomorrow at 10 is Simply's face-to-face class is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So if you're newly appointed to Simply Healthcare, which is an Anthem product in the Florida market, you can jump into that face-to-face training. We are calling all agents for Simply Healthcare. Simply is doing some phenomenal things this year. They're going to have marketing opportunities, which in turn creates leads, which in turn creates commissions for you. So if you're not currently contracted with Simply, especially in certain markets, I would say Central Florida and the Tampa market specifically, and I could tell you that they have a ace up their sleeve for next year. They're talking real big for 23. So Simply does have something very interesting coming out in 23. So if you're not contracted with Simply, you might want to take a look at that. Reach out to Jessica or Sam, and we can get your contracts rolling for Simply Healthcare. But they are doing face-to-face classes every few weeks here, maybe once a month at minimum. So if you are looking to add that to your portfolio, please do. They've got a great training for you at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Also tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Cigna's doing LIS training, low income subsidy training. Why should you know what low income subsidy is? Well, besides creating an SEP for your members, which in turn creates an enrollment for you, low income subsidy is a program which reduces your members' prescription cost by 95%. Okay, now this is a federal program. This is not through the state. So anyone in any corner of the 50 states of the US can qualify for LIS. There is qualifications for income and assets, but you must know this. And you should also know how to apply for LIS. So Cigna is going to train you on all this tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Okay. One of the biggest parts of my success as an agent when I was writing business for Medicare was knowing LIS. It was a way for me to generate leads because my hook, and I'm going to give you my $1 million hook here for free. The hook was this. if I ask somebody how you're doing with your plan, oh, they're okay, whatever the case might be. I said, would you be interested in learning about a program that could save you up to 95% on the cost of your medications? That was all I said. Would you be interested in learning about a program that would help you save up to 95% on the cost of your medications? And that's how I got tons and tons of leads and tons of referrals, because I knew the LIS program. I understood it backwards and forwards, and I was able to help people apply for it, which in turn created an SEP, which helped me get an enrollment. Okay. But also help those people get an enrollment because sometimes they weren't happy with their plan. But that SEP gave them the ability to go out and save tons of money. And, there's some great stories in there too. I've had people that were choosing either medications or groceries. And to help somebody out of that was, life changing for me and for that member. To this day, I still have members that text me and call me. I had one this morning that, still follows me around just because, we were able to help him long ago. So no LIS is a very important part. So that's at 4 o'clock tomorrow, or on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. They're doing another training there as well for LIS. Jumping over to Wednesday at 2 o'clock, Humana's doing training for SEP, special election periods, DSNPs, that's the dual eligible special enrollments, retention, and leads. So great training. I know that Humana, if you're paying attention to your emails, which I know all of you are, you can check on the latest Humana trainings. They're actually buying you lunch from Uber Eats if you sign up for one of their training sessions. So pay attention to your emails. If you're hungry, if you want a free lunch, you can jump on that. They'll send you a gift card or something like that, and you can sign up for one of the trainings and they will feed you. That's pretty cool. So jump on one of those. So that's Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Jumping over to Thursday, Devoted is doing another coffee and chat session, this time at 11:30 for the Jacksonville market. So those of you that are in Jacksonville, you can jump on there and learn more about Devoted. But all are welcome, even if you're not in the Jacksonville market. Devoted has some great information. So that's Thursday at 11:30. Also at Thursday, you've got HPM Working with Providers at 2 o'clock. So if you are interested in learning how to work with docs, that is a training for you. 2 o'clock on Thursday. And then Thursday at 4 o'clock, you've got another OEP training that we were just discussing for Cigna. So they're doing 3 different sessions this week for OEP. And this one's at Thursday at 4 o'clock. The only other trainings on the calendar every day at 8 a.m. Tom was kind enough to add in the HPM Shop link, which we're going to talk about in detail a little bit later. And I have a special guest that's going to be talking with me today, Mr. Kelly Harrington, my buddy. We're going to talk about HPM Shop and his experience on what that's done for him and his business. But we have the link in there every day at 8 o'clock. So if you open up the training calendar, you can find that YouTube video where we go through HPM Shop 2022. It's a walkthrough session, pre-recorded, so you can learn all the ins and outs and what this thing can do for you. Okay, so we'll jump back into that a little later on as far as HPM Shop, because it is a phenomenal tool, and this is the time to learn it if you haven't already. So that's the training for the week. As I always say, keep one foot in the calendar and the other one in the field at all times. Please take some time and train yourself. Okay, couple of updates here. Speaking of HPM Shop, Florida Blue has had a couple of known issues when it comes to their own enrollment site. So if you've done Florida Blue enrollments through their eApp system, there are known issues where they are not receiving the applications on their eApp system. Believe it or not, this is something they built, they own it, and they're having issues with it. However, we have agents that submitted applications to Florida Blue through HPM Shop, and we have had 100% deliverability on those applications. So moral of the story is if you are considering doing a Florida Blue app electronically, you're going to want to use HPM Shop to do it and not their eApp system as of right now, because it is experiencing some serious problems here. And we're having to rectify a lot of these things. We've had where they couldn't find the application in their own portal. So it's not to say that they're a bad plan. It's just that they're having technical issues with their enrollment system. So another reason why we need to learn HPM Shop. So please pay attention to that. And I'm making this warning because if you do have any Florida Blue apps to do, or you are considering Florida Blue, or you have done Florida Blue here in the last few days, I would definitely check back on those applications to ensure they have been received if you're doing it through their own e-app system. However, moving forward, if you're looking for the e-app system, make sure that you're using HPM Shop to avoid those issues. Okay. Now, we're going to talk a little bit this morning about COBRA and Medicare and applying for Part B. Okay. So, those of you that are joining us on the web here, thank you very much. So, I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to walk you through Medicare and applying for Part B and talking a little bit about COBRA because that's going to come up quite a bit between now and the end of the year. Um, if you watched 60 Minutes last night, they were talking about the Great Resignation. And one of the largest pieces of the Great Resignation was the fact that the baby boomers have chosen to start retiring a little bit earlier than their predecessors. So you have people that, are over the age of 65, maybe they're 66, 67, and they waited to apply for Medicare because they were working. Well, now that the economy is going a little crazy, they've decided, you know what, I'll go ahead and take that Medicare. Now I'll go ahead and drop my employer and get Medicare. But you got to know the rules here. And this is another lead source talking to mid-sized, large companies, or even small companies that have group health insurance, talking to them about their Medicare eligibles and what you can do to help. So this is the Social Security website, ssa.gov, socialsecurity.gov. You type that in. This is the main website. I'm going to show you how you can apply for Medicare Part A, Part B, or both. Okay. So on the bottom right here, you'll see Medicare. You'll just click that. It'll open up a new window here. And it talks about Medicare in general on this page. Okay. Now, just as a reminder, you do not apply for Medicare at medicare.gov. You apply for Medicare at ssa.gov. Now it's confusing, but you got to remember that Social Security owns Medicare. Okay. So on the left side, you'll see how to apply online for Medicare. Click that button right there, and there's a big blue button that you can use to apply online. Okay. Now you can apply. It takes less than 10 minutes to do this. I've done plenty of these. So you can do this on behalf of your member. Okay. When you're with them, you can apply online. And it takes less than 10 minutes. So that's how you do that. Okay. Now, talking about special enrollment periods. Okay. So if you look to the left here, you've got special enrollment periods. And I'm going to read a little bit about this because it does get a little dicey when you're talking about COBRA and Medicare Part B. Okay. So this is officially from Social Security, and I want everyone to know this information because if you run into somebody that has COBRA or is thinking about dropping their employer coverage, now you're going to have an SEP, but here's the rules here. Okay, so here we go. If you are age 65 or older, you or your spouse are still working and you're covered under a group health plan based on that current enrollment, you may not need to apply for Medicare Part B at age 65. Okay. So let me clarify that sentence there. If you're working and you're covered under group health insurance, you or your spouse are working and you've got employer coverage through you or your spouse, if that's credible coverage, medical coverage, you do not need to have Part B. Okay, it's double coverage. There's no reason for you to pay the $170 a month when you already have employer coverage, right? So you don't need to have it. It's okay. Now, you may qualify for a special enrollment period that will let you sign up for Part B. And here's the rules, okay? During any month you remain covered under the group health plan and you or your spouse's current employment continues, okay? So you can apply for Medicare Part B while you're covered and your employment continues, or in the 8-month period that begins with the month after your group health plan coverage or the current employment is based on ends, whichever comes first. All right, this one is the crazy one. So what it says is there's an 8-month window, 8 months, that if a person has group health insurance and they're working and they quit, they retire, and they drop their group health insurance, they have an 8-month window from the time that they drop that health insurance. That's the beginning the month after the health plan drops. Okay, so let's say they drop it in January, so it would start for February, and they would have 8 months to apply for Medicare Part B. So that's this is for Part B. This is not for Medicare Advantage. This is just to get Part B. They have an 8-month window. Okay, so they're working. They say, you know what? I'm done working. I want to take my early retirement. I'm going to quit my job. They're going to drop my health insurance. I get 8 months to apply for Medicare Part B. Okay, that's important. So hold that thought. Now, there's an exception to this. If your group health plan coverage or the employment it is based on ends during your initial enrollment period for Medicare Part B, you do not qualify for an SEP. Okay, so if your group health insurance ends during your initial enrollment period for Part B, you do not qualify for an SEP. Your initial enrollment period starts 3 months before the month you attain age 65 and ends 3 months after. So if you quit your job and your Medicare, it's the first time you're on Medicare and you're in your ICEP, there's no 8-month window. You have to use your ICEP to get enrolled. Okay, this is only after you've selected Part A, you've had Part A for a while, and then you drop your group health insurance and you get an 8-month window. Okay, if your group health plan coverage is based on severance or retirement pay, and the job your coverage is based on ended in the last 8 months. Okay, so if your group health plan coverage is based on severance or retirement pay, okay, and the job your coverage is based on ends in the last 8 months, then you can go ahead and apply for Part B. Okay, now let's talk about COBRA here because this gets a little dicey. COBRA and retiree health plans aren't, let me repeat that, are not considered coverage based on current employment. If you have that type of coverage, you will not be eligible for an SEP when it ends. To avoid paying a higher premium, make sure you sign up for Medicare when you are first eligible. So let's say that the person drops employer coverage, they get their COBRA, they're on COBRA for a year, way past the 8 months, their COBRA drops, and they say, oh, I'm going to apply for Medicare Part B. Can't do it. Not with an SEP. Okay? So COBRA is not tied into their group health plan. It's separate and away from that. So if the 8 months ends and they're on COBRA, that does not extend their SEP to apply for Medicare Part B. Okay? That's really important to know that because COBRA does get a bit dicey. Now there's a general enrollment period for Medicare Part B. So anyone that missed that SEP throughout the year, the general enrollment period is from January 1st to March 31st. So we're in the general enrollment period to apply for Part B right now. So January 1st to March 31st, anyone can apply for Medicare Part B. So if they don't have it right now, they can apply right now. The only thing is they won't get it until July. It won't start until July. So they can apply anytime between now and March 31st, and then it'll start for them in July. So it's really important that you know that. Now, the last part of this is people who receive Social Security disability benefits and are covered under a group health plan from either their own or a family member's current employment also have a special enrollment period and premium rights similar to those for workers age 65 and older. Basically, it's just saying that, if you're disabled under the age of 65, you get the same rights. So I hope that helps out a few folks because it is really important that you know how to work that angle because you're going to come across people that are applying or maybe retiring early because of the craziness that's happening in the world today. So with that, I'm going to invite my buddy Kelly Harrington on the line. And Kelly, if you can hear me, if you can unmute your phone and just give me a thumbs up or let me know that you can talk and we can hear you okay. Kelly, can you hear us? Doesn't look like we've got Kelly. Kelly, if you can't hear us, try calling back in, and we'll let you in, and we'll see if we can get your phone on. See if we can get him going here. With that, though, while we're waiting for Kelly, what you should be doing right now, okay?
Hello?
There he is. Kelly, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Very good.
Awesome. Well, glad to have you on the phone here, and just a quick, yeah, you got it. And just a quick intro for Kelly. Kelly's been working with us for a few years now. I would say, I think we're pushing 5 years now, Kelly, together. And
Since
want to thank you for your
2016.
partnership. And you've seen us go, prior to HPM Shop in 2016. Yep. And so now we've got, this new toy, and we've invited you on to talk a little bit about your experience with HPM Shop, and to share with everybody your experiences on using it. And so, with that, can you kind of talk about, I guess, your experience with computers at first, and how that kind of correlates to HPM Shop?
Yeah, I guess I'm the guinea pig, if you will. But, I've always been resistant to technology, and just do it the old-fashioned way. If it is not broke, don't try to fix it. Well, that doesn't get you only but so far in life in general. But, with the help of Jonathan and the team and people in general, I mean, I've learned how to use. And I will say that as far as HPM Shop, the number one thing that attracted to me when you were first rolling that out and mentioned it to me was that seemed to be exciting is, well, I had a platform where I could just go one place, one destination, one site, and be able to find all the plans that are for that particular service area for somebody.
Right.
So that in itself attracted me, because in the past, as everyone knows, once the carriers allowed us to do online enrollments, you had to go to that individual carrier's website. And sometimes that can pose a problem for you with, just the login credentials. That might be a little bit of a hiccup. Maybe you're not sure how to navigate around, because let's face it, if we don't do it on a regular basis, we're going to be a little bit rusty and out of shape. And every carrier basically has their own platform and their own website. To go to. Hello?
Yep. No, you're just cutting in and out. Go ahead.
Okay. Might be my reception, guys. I'm over here on the beach. But, I had the convenience of one location where to go for all the plans, core plans, chronic plans, duals, PDPs, supplements. So no more going to the carrier's website or scrambling to find a hard copy of the summary of benefits.
How difficult was it for you to learn how to use HPM Shop? Because, like you said before, you're not the most techie guy in the world, and this was a new software system, but how difficult was it for you?
All right, well, thanks. I think it's mind over matter in many cases, but for me, once Tom Ryan introduced it to us, step-by-step instructions, and then with just a little bit of effort and practice, slowly but surely, I got to learn all the process of what was, required from creating a profile on each person, to sending the scope, waiting for that to come back to complete the scope, to sending a quote, maybe entering all the preferences of what somebody might have. For example, what would their drugs be that they're taking that's included in the carrier's formulary, to the providers that they're currently using that they don't want to lose. So that way I could see exactly what plans carried as many or all of the different prescription drugs and doctors. So once you learn that, it's just a learned behavior trait. You just keep moving forward with it. So it really wasn't that difficult. Yeah, just keep using it.
Yeah, it's like anything else. The more you use it, the more familiar you get with it, the easier it becomes. So I agree with you on that. Now, you had just mentioned that your service is a little spotty because you're on the beach, and I want to talk about that because you're fulfilling, part of your goal in life was to get out to the beach and live there. And you were previously in Orlando. Can you talk about how HPM Shop has helped you with your book of business and that move?
Yep, thanks. Um, yeah, it couldn't have come at a better time for me because being that the majority of all my book of business is still located in Central Florida and a few surrounding areas as well that aren't very close in proximity to the coast now where I live. HPM Shop once again just allowed me to have this appointment with people. And I think as you grow your book of business, that's a little bit more of a practical approach to try to take. Um, and there was only a handful of people that, liked to see me face to face, to have that physical connection, but they soon, understood that it wasn't practical for me to come out and see them. So now I can reach out to my existing book, speak to them about their existing plan moving forward into this year, whether they should stay on it or not. Again, I think it just really helped simplify everything. So where in the past I would have to carry, or have at my fingertips, the physical copy of the summary of benefits of every plan. And that can be, to have them right there at your fingertips all the time. So it just helped me a lot. In fact, one day I can recall during AEP, I was so swamped.
Hmm.
I was able to accomplish, I think it was close to or right around 8 enrollments in one day.
Wow.
Could have accomplished that if I was still out, in the field, driving from appointment to appointment, carrying
Yeah.
all my materials. That would have been physically impossible.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, just windshield time, you've reduced your windshield time because on average, I mean, if you know about Orlando, you can't get anywhere under a half an hour. So even if your appointment's around the block, it could take you up to half an hour. So, you're saving yourself on 8 appointments.
Uh-oh.
I mean, that's 2.5 hours of drive time, which is pretty
Oh,
crazy.
I hope I
So
didn't lose you.
no, we can hear you good. We can hear you. Um, so Kelly, if you can hear us, last question
Give me
here.
1 second.
Sure. So, Cal, just to kind of recap that while we get Kelly
I'm sorry.
connected
Can
here.
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you. Okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
yeah, you
Tristan.
got it. Yeah, I was just going to recap that. Kelly moved out of area. He's got a book of business, a really good sized book of business in Orlando. But
Mhm.
having HPM Shop allows him to work remotely and not having to drive back and forth, which is an hour from him now. So that's saving him 2 hours to go service his book of business. So will he go see his book of business? Yeah, I think so. But he's not forced to do that in AEP with such a small window to serve people. So having
Here we
HPM
go.
Shop has really been a good thing for him. And
I'm
then and
back.
then last question for you, Kelly. How do you see yourself using HPM Shop in OEP and for the rest of the year?
Well, yeah, another great question. And it kind of ties into all the other questions that you asked. Just the efficiency of it will allow me to not scramble around either in front of the person or when they're calling me on the phone and I have to get back to them after I've done all the research necessary.
Hmm.
I could look more like a professional, um, whether it be face to face or just over the phone, based on what I want. I've personally decided for myself to grow my book of business and to maintain, try to make every effort to see someone brand new to me, whether it be a plan change or a new to Medicare, go see them face to face, no matter what the distance is. And if people don't know, I'm a little lazy. I don't like to drive very much. But with existing members, you know, I usually explain at the point of sale that I'm going to be communicating every year with them over the phone, not necessarily face to face. And that's how I see it, to just continue to grow my business. Again, I could spend my time trying to grow my list of resources for referrals and just get more prospects to call me, and whether I it's just going to be expedited that much easier. Um, but I think the bottom line is we want to look like a professional out there, and
Hmm.
Information that we
Yeah, and
really need to know. Now, having said that, you want to verify on the carrier's website that what good business practice. But excuse me, yeah, I do see that it's just going to help me out, just be more efficient
hmm
and more like a professional. And I guess I'll just end up by saying, personally, if I can do this, I know anybody else can do it, because no one's probably worse on the computer than I am. I just learned how to cut and paste last year. I'm just kidding.
No, you've done phenomenal, and I think the main thing is for you, your success has been like you wanted to learn it and you wanted to be, more efficient because you knew that, the world is changing and you can't just run around and do paper apps all the time. Um, so yeah, I think you made the right decision, and just to kind of recap that too, we were talking about strategy as well, and I agree with you. You need to see your clients at least once, whether it be initially or after you enroll them, you go see them, and it's my opinion. I think if I was out there using HPM Shop and writing business, I would use AEP just to do the enrollment side remotely. And then afterwards, open enrollment's ended. You got the entire year to go see those people. So then at your leisure, you get together with them, especially the new ones, and you sit down and you have a coffee, you talk to the family, you ask about, pet the dog and all that stuff. And you could spend your time and build a relationship with that client after AEP, outside of AEP, when everything is so crazy. So I agree with your strategy. I think that that's really, really smart. Um, and so, with that, Kelly, thank you very much for your time today and giving us some insight on, how you've been using it. We really appreciate your feedback on that.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So, guys, I know we're a little over time, but we had a few chats here, so I want to go through that real quick. Elisa was asking, is Cigna 5-star in all counties in Florida? The answer is yes, they are 5-star wherever Cigna is available. Okay, so remember, they have to be in your county, right? So if Cigna is available in Miami, Tampa, Orange County, wherever you're at, if Cigna is there as a Medicare plan, it is 5-star. So that's available where it is. Now, another question she asks is, I have a client who inquired about getting treatment for alcohol detox. Would that coverage fall under mental health inpatient hospital? No, there's actually a substance abuse benefit on Medicare Advantage. So you would find it under substance abuse. Okay. Most of the time, that is outpatient substance abuse care. So they would have to find a specialist, and the primary care doctor can use that as a specialist referral and get them to a substance abuse specialist. Um, I don't believe that there's an inpatient substance abuse care benefit at this time with any of the health plans, unless it was somehow tied into mental health care, because there is a mental health care hospital benefit as well. It's almost mirroring the inpatient hospital care, but it would have to be something that would be written off by a psychiatrist or a psychologist as a mental health care condition. But uh, if it's for substance abuse, then that would most likely be outpatient, would be covered by the Medicare Advantage plan. Okay, I hope I helped answer that question there. So, just another little tidbit. And Elisa, thank you very much for your questions. Guys, as a reminder, if you have questions, if you go through the week or the month and you're like, hey, this popped up and I don't know what to do, please share it with the class. We're here to share information with each other. And hopefully, if you run into a similar situation, you'll say, I remember that from the call, and it'll help you. So we want to share those questions as well. So in the chat box, in future calls, feel free to pop in your question at the end of the call. I'll go through the questions and we'll do our best to do that. But thank you everyone for being on the call this morning. Special thank you to Kelly for sharing your insight. We really appreciate that, buddy. And we will see you guys next week. Have a happy and safe week, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you guys very much for being on the call.